Now, last week we went into the El Paso girls playoffs. We
Correct.
made our predictions. Uh, do you want to do the let's talk about the girls and then we'll go into the boys
Okay,
prediction.
we can
Okay,
do that.
so we had girls teams that represent the city. They play area,
Yep.
and then they play by district and then area.
Correct.
So we had, who was it? America's made it.
Yeah. America's went ahead and
Yeah,
beat a
America's
Wichita team.
right.
Yep.
So they're the only one, right? Franklin
They're the
lost.
only one.
Yeah,
Franklin,
so
yeah, yep.
Franklin lost.
Everybody's out.
Eastwood, yeah. So everybody else was wiped out, and I believe no, Montwood is still.
No, Montwood ended up losing. They had their top 2 starters were out. I'm not making excuses. A broken hand in the area game.
Oh yeah, nah. That's not an excuse, man. You lose, especially in high school. You lose your top 2 scorers, players. Yeah,
Yeah, and
it's
then
gonna be hard.
an ankle injury that kid couldn't go.
Okay, so but those are all of the 5A schools. Now I didn't, forgive me, I didn't look into the 4A and the 3As and stuff, in the city, but I don't know if any of them are still playing. America's was the only team that I heard
Correct.
made it. Now, I will say this, even before we get to the boys, all right, this new format, I will go out on a limb, and, like Chuck say, I guarantee, I'm going to go out on a limb, and I'm going to predict that with the new format,
Okay.
we're going to have an El Paso team reach the Final Four within the next five years, I think. And here's why. Okay. So everybody's like, well, what's the new format? Well, prior to this year, regardless of the realignments as far as the, moving from 6A to 5A, high school in the state of Texas, you had to play a gauntlet of games.
No question.
You almost had to win, what was it, like 8 games before you get?
It was like 6 or 7 games.
Six to 8 games just to get to the Final Four.
Yeah, it's tough.
And then you had to win those 2. So you had a lot of teams in the 5A division that had to play each other. So there was no, it was, we talked about it was by district, it was area, and then it was 2 more games before you got to regional, or 1 more game before you got to play regional or something.
Right.
Now they split it up. So now you have an easier time. They've almost cut it in half.
Well, I think what they're doing, like that regional quarterfinal now is no longer there.
Right.
So
okay.
once you get past area, you're in regional semis.
Right. And
so that's the regional tournament.
Right.
So it's I like it, in my opinion.
I like it because some teams get a little bit better of a chance with some things, because they don't have to play. I don't like it because some people might start to put asterisks, like, hey, well, they didn't play. Like, think about Michael Strahan. He broke the season record of sacks in 16 games.
Yep.
Miles breaks it in 17.
Yep.
He congratulates Miles, but he says, "Yeah, but I'm the 16. You took 1 more game to break it." And then the guy before Strahan, I can't think of his name. He was he was upset at Brett Favre because he felt like Brett Favre gave he don't feel like he earned it. So there's going to be people who say. There's going to be people who are going to be really excited because we have a chance. The people who've won in the past might look at it and say, yeah, man, that's kind of a watered down product. Y'all didn't have to play like we had to play.
I don't consider it watered down at all. I consider it comparing apples to apples, oranges to oranges. So if you're a 6A team and you got 6,000 kids, and I'm a 6A team with 2,000 kids, that's to me, that doesn't make sense at all. It doesn't make sense. So to me, it compares apples to apples, oranges to oranges.
Okay.
So it can't be diluted because me and you had the same enrollment or close to it. So
Yeah, no, well, yeah, no, I get that point. That's a valid point. 6,000 versus 2,000. What I'm just saying is the amount of games that you had to play to get there. That's the thing I'm focusing on.
Yeah, I mean, Texas, the Texas state playoffs was impossible to get there. Like how y'all's teams got there and all that stuff. I mean, it was impossible. You had to be extra special with a little bit of luck. But now it just makes things possible. It does.
Yeah, I like it. I like it. I just know it's gonna be like it doesn't bother me. I actually will be able to be like, yeah, we got some El Paso teams that are, finally getting opportunity.
I'm going to say this here. To your point, the teams that y'all were on in that area prior to this new change, and it started last year, those state championships hold a lot more weight.
Yes.
That's kind of
that's what I'm saying. They're going to be saying that
a lot more
because you didn't have to play. But here's the other question I have, because it just dawned on me. Will there be a 5A D1 state champion and a 5A D2 state champion?
Correct.
That's kind of weird though, because you would think they would do this, and see, that's what I was thinking. They were going to bring it to a head, and now you have the Elite Eight or the Final Four with them. Then you have the Final Four with the 5A, 1A, a D1, and then you go, they play because there only can be one 5A champion.
People were really upset last year, especially the people that were not fans of Aaliyah Chavez, because she won a state championship over at Lubbock, Monterey.
Right.
The people were upset because she didn't have to go through that gauntlet.
Right.
She didn't have to go through those teams, so people were really semi-hating, I'd say, but because people were like you, like, no, this is, Texas.
Right,
right. We've been doing this for 50 years. We're going to continue, and somebody made some common sense. It's really about the kids.
Yeah, no, I'm for it. And look, let's say, my school, we was winning them during the gauntlet.
I know.
So if we're winning them now, some people are gonna say, well, now it's really easy. It doesn't, you can't, teams who have won before, if they win now, it's nothing new. You don't look at them different, right? Because they won it back then. But teams that, let's say, they could never get out of the second round.
Right.
Now all of a sudden they're in the Final Four playing, you might look and say, well, they had an easier schedule. I do love the fact, I just wonder, but you don't know who's the final, 5A champion, because it's two different divisions. And the thing is that they play each other a lot.
And I see it this way. The problem was the area Dallas teams were better than everybody else, and they would beat each other up, and only two could go. One or two could go.
I'm going to tell you what the real problem is.
Okay.
It's participation. You're letting too many teams, instead of letting 4 teams from each district go, it should be the top 2. If you only had the top 2 teams from that district.
That's what it was back then, right?
Right. You have the top 2 teams from every district, it's going to look like this.
Right.
You don't have to have as many teams. And I guess I'll say, it's disrespect when I say, instead of saying no disrespect, this is disrespect. When you have teams making the playoffs, I want to say a few years ago, there was a team here, I don't know if it was Jefferson or Austin, it was a team that didn't really win 3 or 4 games the whole year, I think. And they make the playoffs because that district only had 3 or 4 teams.
Right.
So every team made the playoffs. You can't have that. Now, obviously, they're going to lose their first game, but that's an extra game that team has to play that they shouldn't.
Yeah, I agree with that, but I'm going to ask you this, because you're big on this. So now are principals going to expect coaches to go beyond just making the playoffs? Is that going to be a narrative? If you're the principal, would that be your narrative? Would that change?
Well, the funny part is you see it with how high schools operate. a coach can be there for a while. Now, if there's a team, I'm not gonna put any teams out there, but if there are teams here locally that they might not have the resources, they might not have the type of talent
Right.
pool that goes to that school,
Right.
they're gonna take it because it's part of sports, right? They're not gonna be bothered if that team doesn't win district for the last 10 to 15 years.
Okay.
The kids are getting in, they're having fun, they're playing, it's a part. These kids probably aren't going to be trying to play college ball. They're going to go on and, whatever. But then you have those schools where you have expectations. And those schools with expectations, you see there are certain schools here where there are expectations that I'm anticipating that some of these schools that have lost, they might make a change on the girls' side and on the boys' side, right? That's what I'm thinking. So, yes, because the most essential part of that is if you're making these changes because you want to win, it's not about academics. If it's about academics, your thing would be, hey, we're good. As long as there's no misgivings with the coaches being, detrimental, the program's running right, you're playing, you're competing, you're doing what you're supposed to do, you're just not as good, it shouldn't matter.
Right.
But we know that not to be true.
No doubt.
You got some schools in central and eastern part of Texas that have $10 to $20 million facilities.
Yeah. No doubt.
They want to win, right?
No
so
doubt.
it's not, we got to stop with all this. It's about academics because we've seen time and time again, we're seeing it in the NCAA now. It's not about academics.
No, but from a high school perspective, the mindset and the thought process is if your athletic programs are very successful, the data says that academics are going to go up. So it almost kind of goes hand in hand.
I get
but
it.
You have those folks that we know that, okay, test score is cool. We need to win.
Right, because that argument, it kind of eats itself, because if you say the data shows that if you're winning, right, if you're winning and making it to the playoffs and you lose the first round every year, then the data is still up because you're winning, right?
Yeah.
So then there should be no need to make a move because the date our test scores and everything's going up. We're just not getting to deep in the playoff run. So that shouldn't matter, but we know.
Yeah, it does.
We know.
It does,
So,
for sure.
shout out to the teams that did make the playoffs. Some fought valiantly. There was some really, look, I'm only gonna say, I know you brought up this. I'm only gonna say this about the Burgess game. I actually was able to view some of that game.
Okay. I didn't see it.
And it didn't, like when you're watching it, if you're not watching the score, Lubbock Monterey, they're really good, but they didn't seem that much better. Now maybe I'm just looking at it, even though I'm scouting and evaluating, high level talent, but my eyes were saying, I think to me, it seemed more of a mental thing where I think those kids were like, hey, we're playing them.
Yeah. It's possible. I mean, they have two kids going to high
Right.
Division I basketball.
Right.
I think that makes a
Right.
big difference. And maybe I think what you're saying is like sometimes a team doesn't look that much better because the speed is almost equal.
I get. Okay, let me put it another way. When you play against, my mindset has always been, if I play against somebody who some people say is better than me, I'm gonna go hard because I want to see. I don't need you to tell me that he's. I need to see where at the end of the game I can say, yeah, he's at a different level than me, right? And I played against a kid who was a top 100 point guard, and we beat him, right? And I gave it to him, and he gave it to me. And at the end of the game, we was giving each other that respect,
Right.
right?
Right.
I'm gonna use that opportunity. It just seemed like some of these teams, when they're playing against lower competition, it's the hooting and hollering, and it's the bravado, and I get it. But I need to see that when you playing against somebody else that's going at you. That's what I want to see.
Facts.
And some people I might say, oh, well, you're being, no, I'm trying to help because I know what it looks like.
Yeah.
And when you know what it looks like, you're trying to tell people, I don't like some of my kids that I train, sometimes they'll be like, yo, like they hitting, they killing in middle school or they're killing against, and I say, yeah, that's great. I appreciate that. And I want you to celebrate that. But I want to see that when you play this team, because this team is going to try to get in your ass. So I don't need to see 30 points against this team, but I need to see a solid game of maybe 15 points. That's going to let me know that you've arrived.
Yep.
And I don't think a lot of these players here understand that.
Well, I wholeheartedly agree. Coach Jay, one of our coaches, he always says, majority of kids from El Paso don't want to compete. They don't want to compete. And here's what I'm saying. Your mindset is different when you play somebody that you may be thinking that's above you. And my mindset would be out, let's go. Okay.
Right.
You
Right.
Just what you said.
Right.
That's competing.
Right. Okay. So I'm gonna push back in only this perspective.
Okay, come on.
The Chapin boys, when KJ arrived,
Yep.
they were up there. They were getting to Elite Eights, and all of that. They never cracked the Final Four, but they were up there.
Yeah.
Once those guys left, Jaden would have been considered the last of that, status team, right?
Correct.
Once they left, this year, they have a lot of younger talent, but they're playing at a higher level right now. Will they make it to the Elite Eight? We don't know. It depends on where they fall out, right? I've questioned it simply because now you don't have that tree back there, so guys are going to be able to drive. But what I'm saying is, I feel like those kids that are there right now learned how to compete from playing with kids that competed, that people had to compete with against. So they learned it without even knowing they learned it, because you can see it how they play now. They know that everybody's hunting them. They know that, that they're getting everybody's best. And they still are beating a lot of these teams here with what some people would say, well, the talent is not as good, but they're playing at such a high level. So for me, I think you can learn it if you play behind somebody or you play with somebody that expected it and you see like, yo, okay, that's a different level. That's how I got to be. A lot of these teams, I don't think they have somebody that's played at that level.
Well, that's where your summers come in. I know parents complain a lot here because they watch their kids in the summer play against elite talent and they perform, compete at a high level, and then they come back here and it just kind of drops.
Yeah.
And so the thing that I need every kid to do here, specifically here, is have the same mindset, have a travel ball AAU mindset.
Right.
I always say, play like you're not from here.
Right. That's what I do when the players that I have that they go play travel ball and they take some lumps, but they do well. And I say, you're not going to face any competition here like you faced in that particular thing.
Right. I'm gonna push back too. It's hard to do. Yeah. Where you were, Dallas Lincoln. Okay, people didn't know that. Well, if you didn't know that, you know it now. Dallas Lincoln, you guys are playing against collegiate talent all year round.
Yeah, that's true.
That's
That's the big, and that's why I use Chapin as the means to say, because they've played, like when Andrews went to the Final Four, there was still like a 2 or 3 year period after that where you were the expectations was that they were going to get there because the guys that were there, it's like they changed the culture to say, now this is who we are. We play to this standard,
Right.
and you're going to play to this standard if you're going to play here. And you can just see it, the guys exude it. But let's get on to our boys'
Absolutely.
predictions.
Tisha King said, "Thank you." America's high school coach.
She said, "Thank you."
She saw it. We were texting back and forth.
Uh-huh.
I sent her the link, the actual post that you made. She said that she appreciates the support.
What
and thanks
post?
a lot, man.
What post?
Man,
I'm just playing.
I'm
I'm just playing.
You scared me. I'm like,